I thought I was in love, but it turns out Lucy, the love of my life, she just wants me for my money. And how did I find this out? Because she wants me to go ahead and plan this luxurious wedding, and I tell her no. Oh boy, that seems like that was my biggest mistake, because the second I tell her no, she drains my bank account and does the unthinkable. I'm someone who's always believed in hard work, and I've been very good at saving money and investing some of it in order to get the best results. I work at a large IT company, and I've always been very proud of my work ethic, and of course my ability to have a discipline and financial responsibility. You could say that my life is the type of life that's common in the sense of structure. I have the life that every parent wants for their kids. Not necessarily one of wealth, but one of financial stability, and also emotional stability. This is the kind of thing that's made it easy for me to somewhat be a great catch. I'm not bragging. I'm just following the statistical considerations of what a great catch would be. Someone who's in shape, someone who has a good career, and someone who is disciplined and financially stable. It's been exactly 3 months since Lucy and I got engaged, and I feel great about how the relationship's moving forward. Now that we have hit this 3-month mark, and we're still living separately, Lucy's reaching out to me and asking me to start the process of planning the wedding, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not sure that I want this to be something too big. Let me be perfectly honest with you about Lucy and how I became attracted to her. Lucy came into my life with a full display of beauty, and what I mean by this is that I fell in love with her before I even got to know her at all. She is drop-dead gorgeous, and she's definitely the type of woman that can have any man she wants. She is the popular girl in high school that every guy absolutely drools over, but only the school jock gets to date. The good thing is that school is out, and this allows all the guys who were not so popular in school to have a fighting chance. She has a very slim body, not voluptuous, but very sensual, and she even has long blonde hair and the most piercing blue eyes in the world. They say you should always wait until you get to know someone well before you get married. But Lucy is so beautiful that I'd probably have married her even the day I met her, if she wanted me to. I remember a very distinct date that we had early in our relationship. We went to this fancy restaurant in the city, and she knew that I was someone with financial stability. I remember that she ordered some of the most expensive things on the menu, and the whole night I was thinking we would be splitting the bill. I would have been just fine with paying for the whole thing, though, but I came to realize that it was very common for women to want to split the bills on the first date. I even remember watching a video of a very beautiful female influencer who said that any woman that won't split the bill on the first date is a gold digger. Always back to the date with Lucy. I remember the bill coming to our table. It was over $500. We had some of the most expensive food, and we had a couple of mid-level wine bottles. I looked at the bill and then looked at her. "Oh, I hope you're an old-fashioned gentleman who every lady lets pay for her meal," she remarks as she stared at me. I remember thinking about that influencer and what she said when she said that, but then I took a quick look at Lucy and her unbelievably gorgeous face. Told myself that I did not care if she wanted to be pampered with gifts every day and treated like a queen. I felt so fortunate to be on a date with her that I did not hesitate to pay the tab. I had no idea that one event would define our entire relationship. The following dates turned into something more serious, and we finally became intimate after a month of dating. I was so in love that I decided to propose after dating for 2 months, and that brings us to what is happening now. Lucy came to my apartment one day with a big box full of catalogs and magazines. She gave me a kiss and seduced me with her gorgeous eyes before she took out those catalogs and showed me these fancy dresses, cakes, wedding arrangements, you name it, many other things she wanted for the wedding. Well, I looked at her and said, These things look expensive. Is your dad going to be paying for this? She looked at me and said, "Oh, there's no need to make fun of my father for not having enough money, silly." See, Lucy was not someone from a wealthy family. My family wasn't wealthy either, but we had a nice middle-class family, while Lucy was middle-lower class, with a typical family that struggles financially. I told her I was just kidding and did not mean to insult her dad. She just gave me a kiss on the lips and continued to show me the wedding arrangements and items that she wanted. I said, I would love to be briefed on the cost, just so I can make sure to be able to cover the expenses. "Oh, of course, I'm not sure yet, but I think we'll be spending around $50,000 on the wedding at most." I remember the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I immediately said, at most? You're kidding, right?" I honestly believed that she was kidding, and I was not really worried about this being a real number. "No, I'm serious. I won't let it be more than 50. Then I knew she was for real, and I said, "Lucy, realistically, I would never have expected you want to spend more than $10,000 on the wedding, and I was really hoping for way less than that." She stood up from bed and said, "Sure, we can have the wedding at the local pizza place then." She then took her catalogs and magazines and put them back in the box. As she was walking out, I told her not to be angry, but she wanted to spend way too much on this wedding. She walked out of the apartment and said, "I'll give you the time to think about how much money you believe our most important day ever and celebration deserves. We only get married once, you know. At least that is what I hope for." And she slammed the door of my apartment when she left. I was so angry at her attitude and her self-entitled ways, which have really never seemed too prevalent and so serious until now. I remember that I was chatting in this little group. It was a group for men who are engaged in how life changes once they do. I went to the group and asked for their advice on this, but it was a bad idea because of all the replies went something like this, and I'll quote them all here. "Dude, run. Get away now before it's too late. No amount of beauty will ever be enough." Even Nicole Kidman type of beauty can make a man feel fed up. Look at what happened to Tom Cruise. "Dude, she's a gold digger, and you better not put that marriage ring on her finger at all." "Dude, you're looking at a legal battle, and for all that you own." Man, all these red flags are there. You need to bail now and avoid the endless pain. I remember being extremely scared due to the responses, but somehow I was thankful. There was one guy that gave me a reply that I liked. He said, "Listen, man, if she truly is worth it, you tell her that you will not spend a dime over $10,000, as you planned. If she refuses and gets angry, you need to break up with her. But if she agrees, you might have a keeper." I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this, but I thought this was the finest counsel I've gotten so far, so I called up Lucy's number and asked her to come over. She arrived, and before I could say anything, she apologized. "I'm sorry for leaving so angry the other day." I was relieved that she was being rational when she said this because I was madly in love with her, you know. But then, she said something that completely shattered everything. She paused for a second and said, "But now you've had time to understand that this wedding is very important to me, and I want you to spend as much money as necessary to make it magical for the both of us." I tried to explain to her that the wedding is a one-day event, while we are going to have our whole lives to live and we need some savings to get us started. She started giving me that angry look again and said, "Yes, it's one day, Jack. The one day that every woman in the world dreams about since she's a young woman." Then she started crying and said, "I can't believe you're going to sabotage this relationship over some expenses." "What? What do you mean ruin the relationship?" "I deserve better than this." I was angry and I yelled this time. "Okay, Lucy, why don't you go ahead and find yourself a man who truly deserves you? One who's not only caring, loving, and committed to you like I am, but also one who has enough money in the bank to do everything you desire." "I can't believe you would say something like that." "This relationship and this engagement are finished," is the last word she said right there, and she pulls off her ring finger, flung it on the floor, and stormed out of my flat in a manner that felt almost staged for a soap opera. Update number 1. It was 4 days before she decided to send me a message on WhatsApp. This was a very distinct message that was, quote, "You never really loved me, did you? It seems to me that you loved was my physical appearance and you wanted to have yourself a nice trophy wife." When I read that message, I was very angry at her words, and I called her immediately. She did not pick up, and I called again. That second time, she answered the phone by saying, "I don't want us to be fighting." I was so tired of the drama that I told her we should meet at the local cafe. We sat down and I told her that I loved her, and that we had a joint account savings that had close to $20,000, that I was willing to compromise the number. She told me that she wanted this expensive wedding because she was always insecure about her financial situation and that of her family. She wanted to impress everyone and let everyone see that she was now successful, happy. When she said that, I was even more convinced that we should have a budget-friendly wedding, and this was going to be what I was going to be willing to do. Lucy looked at me with disappointment in her eyes and said, "So, I guess the wedding's off." To which I answered, "I guess the wedding is off if you need it to be so expensive and luxurious affair just to impress other people who don't really care." With a lump in my throat, I stated this because I loved Lucy, but I wanted her to love me not for my money, for me. I felt compelled to say something vital, so I asked, "Would you even be with me if I was broke?" That is an unfair question to ask when you just destroyed what we had and ruined our relationship forever, she added. Once again, I was staring at her back as she walked away angry, and I felt a sudden fear, and she was out of my life just like that. I did not want her to be with someone else. I remember I was distinctly caught in the state of mind of being jealous, that she would find someone who would decide to be that man that would give her what she wanted. So I began to question myself, and after days passed that we had not talked, I started to panic. I was going to call her, but I called an old friend first to ask for advice. I explained everything, and he was supportive. He said that a good woman would never use the wedding expenses to make her future husband feel bad. He told me to be strong and forget about Lucy, to stop feeling regretful for my decision, and to be happy to be out of the relationship. Update number 2. Hey guys, so 2 months have passed and I hear from mutual friends that Lucy had been going out clubbing at night and hanging out with some pretty shady guys and girls at the club she's going to. This made me very angry because it seemed to me like she did not care at all that we had a relationship and that we were to be married. With that said, I was determined to regain control of my life, and I decided to start going to the gym more often and do all I could to forget about Lucy. Then one day, when I knew from high school, approached me in the gym. It was this guy I went to class with, but I was never really friends with, and he looked at me and said, "Hey Jack, you really need to know what Lucy's saying about you, man." I remember I seen this guy at a party at one of Lucy's best friend's house. When I inquired that she was saying, well, he claimed she was telling everyone that I was addicted to, well, sexual images online, and that I had spent all my money buying women online to send me photographs and videos. He stated that she broke the relationship because she was ashamed that I was so hooked, that I had spent so much money on this and I could not even afford the wedding. She was now damaging my reputation with everyone that we both knew, and this guy was the only one to tell me right to my face. Then I started asking other people. They all said the same. This is when I knew that it was true. Lucy was completely ruining my reputation in our social circle. I was really tired of the situation, and I did not know if I was going to be able to just let it go and move on. I was torn between confronting her or just moving on and focusing on my life once again, and on my relationships with people who would never believe those lies. I've always considered myself a very emotionally controlled individual, and this is why I was not acting on impulse in trying to confront Lucy. I knew that I had to keep a cool head or I'd probably end up falling into the trap of becoming very angry and lashing out at her. I wanted to keep my life in order, and I was not going to let this become the main thing in my life. I had worked very hard for my career and my current status, and I wanted to keep that moving forward. Update number 3. Hey guys, after another month I received a phone call from an unknown number. I answered the phone and there was a stillness on the other side. After what felt like an eternity, a familiar yet faraway voice continued. "You never answered calls from unknown numbers. Why would you do it this time, you addicted you?" Of course, it was Lucy. And I quickly exclaimed, "Wow, you're really smart to admit you've been spreading lies about me all this time." "Yeah, I claim that, but I've been taking it back and I've come clean with people. I just wanted you to feel the burn. I never meant for it to be, lingering lies." I remained silent after she said this, then asked, "What do you want, Lucy?" "I want to see you today. It's important." I told her I did not think that was a good idea and that we should avoid each other. Well, she insisted, saying she was coming over. She then hung up and I resumed working on my laptop in the apartment living room. Someone knocked on the door about 20 minutes later, and I knew it had to be her. When I opened the door, there she was, looking as stunning as usual, but even more seductive in a really lovely tight set of gym leggings, and a tight tank top. She came in and did not say a word. She closed the door and started kissing me. I was unable to resist, and we ended up in bed. But immediately after the passionate moment was over, I told her that this was a mistake. "I think you deserve me, Jack, but perhaps I did not deserve you. I'm admitting that I was acting like a brat, and I want us to be together. I think we should just elope and come back as a married couple." Well, the idea seemed nice because it was a total redemption from her side to simply want to marry me and not worry about a luxury wedding. I liked the idea, but I also felt that I needed to think about this carefully and consider another approach. I was hesitant because it felt like she was just trying to see if I was still in love with her. I told her we should take things slowly first and just get to know each other better. I felt that we have been rushing things, and she agreed. I was still in love, but I realized I was in love with her appearance, not so much her personality. Lucy then kissed me again and told me she was sorry about the way that she had behaved, and she said that this was happening because she truly loved me and she had never experienced such intense feelings before. She said that she never believed that she would feel so intensely about, a man, and that she was vulnerable. So when I told her that I was not going to give her the wedding she wanted, she felt betrayed by the man that she truly loved. She also said that she never had admitted to anyone that she had these insecurities that she felt she had with me. She wanted us to be a couple with no secrets, and she wanted to be able to move past this and start fresh again. It was a huge roller coaster of feelings for me, because I felt that it was hard for me to even consider this to be possible now. I still wanted to be with her, but it felt like I was just, a physical thing at this point. Update number 4. I was not sure that I wanted to do this anymore, but I was still willing to at least give it a shot. So, the days pass and we start to go on dates and take more time to know each other. Lucy tells me many things about her past that made her insecure regardless of her looks. We're now seeing each other only a couple of times every week, and she seems to be more open about herself than ever before. I'm feeling like things are finally headed in the right direction, but my friends are all telling me that I'm crazy for dating her again. One of them particularly told me that she displayed the characteristics of a narcissist. She was willing to make me look bad in front of everyone by spreading lies, and that was too huge of a red flag to not consider it a big warning. Even with all these warnings and red flags being thrown in my face, I was still thinking that she was being misjudged. I remember thinking that this was the perfect time for me to consider the idea of giving her the wedding she wanted. I decided to take things slowly, just to see if I could get to know her better. I was starting to feel comfortable again, and then one day, I went to the bank to get some money out, and I saw that $30,000 was missing from the account. I quickly called the bank to inquire about my funds, and the woman at the other end of the line told me, "Oh, the money has been taken out by the person you have this joint account with." It hit me. Lucy still had access to my account because I had allowed her to have full access to the account for an emergency. I called Lucy and asked her, "Lucy, you took out half of my savings in the last few months?" "Oh, it's too bad that you found out now. I wanted a few more days of fun." "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the only thing I wanted to do since we broke up due to your lack of commitment to me. I started to enjoy that money that you denied for our wedding, and I went to clubs, parties, I ordered expensive foods and went on dates with other men, and even paid for their food." I was furious and I yelled into the phone, "Why would you do something like this? Are you a psycho?" Her reply was all I needed to know how crazy she was. "I chose you to be my husband and you messed up. So now it's your turn to suffer, and you'll never be with me again. I just wanted to do something that will remind you of your big mistake. Forever." I could not believe this was happening, and I started to see the kind of monster that Lucy really was. I'd been so stupid to not see it before she started spreading these lies about me. Lucy was the perfect definition of something that's pretty on the outside and ugly on the inside. It was like staring at a diamond, but finding out that it was an empty, hollow inside. I'd not met her parents yet, and I decided that I wanted to get to know more about her and her family. It turns out that her own parents did not accept her anymore because of the greed, manipulative person that she had become. I found this out from a friend of Lucy's who was close to her family, but she knew that Lucy was doing something to me that was just wrong. So she told me all about her past and how her family could not even stand her. So, Lucy had spent $30,000 of my hard-earned money on dates with other men, on expensive clothing, and all kinds of things to indulge in her love for luxury and quench her thirst for revenge. All of this just because I told her I would not spend too much money on our wedding. I wondered what she would be capable of doing if I had really done something bad to her, huh? One day after a few weeks had passed since I found out about Lucy and my money, I was out with some friends and a particular female friend of mine who always felt something was off with Lucy. We started talking about what Lucy had done to me, and they all told me that I should sue her for what she did with the money. I told them that I would rather not have to deal with such a psychotic person anymore, and that I had already consulted a lawyer, and he said it's going to be a difficult legal battle since it was joint custody. Then, we could not believe our eyes when we all saw Lucy with some random guy walking over to the same restaurant at the docks that we were at, and I sat there with them just a few tables away. Then Deborah, the friend I mentioned earlier who did not like Lucy for one bit, said, "There's no way this crazy woman's going to get away with coming here and trying to make you feel bad." She gets up and proceeds to go to the table where Lucy was sitting. I did not even try to stop her, and we all just sat there waiting to witness what was about to happen. So, Deborah went up to the table and said, "Listen, I don't know who you are, but your date here is a psycho that robbed my friend of thousands of dollars, and she was engaged to him, but became enraged and vindictive when he refused to pay for a huge luxury wedding. I suggest you get up and just run. Run as fast as you can from this monster right here, and never look back." We all heard this, and we could not help but laugh at the scene. I felt particularly proud of having a friend like Deborah, who would stop at nothing to get some well-deserved justice for a friend. Then Deborah walked back to our table, and we could see Lucy and the guy she was with just get up and leave. As Lucy was walking out, she looked back at our table and gave us the middle finger. I then stood up, gave it right back, and said, "Right back at you, honey." All my friends cheered and laughed as we saw the guy move away from Lucy and drive away without her. This forced Lucy to start walking, and she took out her phone, most likely to ask for a cab. I would not have been happier that even when she had robbed me of $30,000, which is not a small amount of money at all, I robbed her mask and exposed her for who she really was. I was so happy about all that happened that night that I went to Deborah and gave her a big kiss on the lips with no tongue. Everyone stared and just started cheering me and Deborah on. Deborah did not stop me. She wasn't the supermodel type Lucy was, but she was a nice-looking woman with a good heart and a sense of loyalty for her friends that was truly attractive. That day, I realized that I wanted a woman like Deborah in my life. But still, it's really stinging just to lose 30 grand like that. The whole situation left me with a sour taste, and to be honest, I wanted revenge against Lucy. It may be petty, sure, but that's how I felt. So, I expressed it to Deborah. She had a clever idea up her sleeve, and it turned out Deborah has some knowledge about Lucy, courtesy of one of her friends who works with Lucy. And it appears that Lucy's friend is not the biggest fan either. Irritated by her feeling of entitlement, Deborah revealed that Lucy has a drinking problem, and everyone knew about that in the office. She has a drinking problem that she cannot manage to handle, and this was the lever Deborah thought we could pull for a small retribution. Deborah wasted no time. She immediately gets on the phone and explained the whole situation to her friend, and, well, the scheme she had crafted. Her friend was a bit hesitant at first, which was completely understandable. However, Deborah has this persuasive charm about her, and she managed to sway her friend into going along with the plan. Also, Deborah assured her that the job won't be in any sort of jeopardy or get her in trouble. Deborah came to me after 2 days and informed me that Lucy had been fired from her job, causing mass chaos after being intoxicated during office hours. So, she tells me right away that Lucy was attempting to control her alcohol addiction by using some sort of herbal concoction. Deborah's friend secretly switched her drink with the alcoholic mixed drink that day, and Lucy drank the whole bottle. After this, she caused great commotion at work, and when HR came to stop her, she cursed her and started throwing things at her. After that, HR had to contact the police, and she spent the night in jail before going to be dismissed the next morning. Some of their coworkers even videotaped her and uploaded it on social media, but they later removed it due to legal concerns. But up until that point, half the town had seen the film, so there's no chance she's going to be getting a good-paying job. Last I heard about Lucy, she left town because her reputation in this city was already too tainted after what she's done. I don't feel bad at all, but I do hope she gets help and manages to become a better person. Oh boy, Lucy is an absolute nightmare. Guys, I don't even know what to start. Only thing I can say is, towards the end of the story, I'm so glad that Deborah came into the picture. It just seemed like OP was only going after looks at first, and not really taking someone for their face value. He did say it very well in the end. Lucy has a beautiful outside, but that inside, oh boy. Deborah is the complete opposite. No, she might not be a drop-dead gorgeous model, but her inside definitely was drop-dead gorgeous. The way she stood up for OP, oh boy. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you think about the blossoming romance between Deborah and OP. I would love to hear from you guys. This story had everything: drama, karma, revenge, you name it, it had it. The only downfall I can see about this is, well, the money. $30,000 is absolutely no joke. I mean, that's a lot of people's yearly salary. I could not imagine losing that much. I would love to hear from you guys. Do you think OP should have pursued it even further? Even though he knew chances of winning this court case were slim. I still want to hear from you guys, so drop your thoughts down below. Hit that subscribe button, and remember, it's cool to be kind. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.